Matt, a plus 40-year-old single man, is looking for a gestational surrogate. He needs someone to look after and take responsibility for, a meaningful light in his life. His requirements are very specific. In the opening scene, Anna, a young girl in her 20s, answers his questions anxiously. At first, everything's going well, until Matt asks about her experience with raising a child. One of his requirements is that the applicant must have had a child. Well, it seems like Anna took it literally. She was in high school when she had to give her baby up. She understands that this might be a deal breaker for him. However, she manages to turn the interview around. Anna knows what it's like to give up a child, which should give her an advantage over other applicants. And so, despite all the funny little mistakes that she made during that interview, in the following scene, we see Matt entering the doctor's office where Anna is waiting for him. It seems like she was his choice after all. As he sits down clumsily with an enormous teddy bear in his hand, Dr. Andrews tells them the good news. It's their third attempt and finally, the doctor is congratulating them. No wonder Matt is getting emotional. Both leave the office and sit down outside, with a gigantic teddy bear between them. Their communication seems dragged either because of the surprise effect, or something else. This whole situation is weird. They are having a baby even though they scarcely know each other. However, they both stutteringly state how normal they feel in an attempt to lure themselves into believing it sincerely. Finally, Matt remembers the bear in his hand and gives it to her as a present. It's true that he practically doesn't know her at all. She awkwardly asks him if this is for the kid, underlying that he should keep it. And so, after they agree to celebrate this news that day, Matt is left alone with a broad smile stretched over his face. He breaks this news to his brother, Jacob, later that day. He tries to get their attention, but their kids seem to be swallowing them whole. Jacob and his wife want to be polite, but they can't get their eyes off of their children, so their toast goes on forever and Matt's attempts to set the explosions of celebration are futile. But they still manage to toast life and eventually, Jacob asks him if their parents know about this. From Matt's expression, it's evident that he hasn't told them as of yet. So, in the following scene, we meet his father and stepmother. They are critical of this news as always, telling him that it takes two to raise a baby, but the father finally decides to quit being so tough on him and starts embracing his son's future. The stepmother is more conservative in this though. But eventually, she breaks and asks him about the surrogate mother. Next, Matt and Anne are having dinner. The man is extremely nervous, trying to answer her question about his job and make a conversation. But as he confesses to her, he's extremely nervous to communicate with her. This whole situation is frightening for him. Finally, Anna says that she's nervous too, and after Matt jokingly states that she can't legally change her mind about this anymore, we finally understand why he's single in his 40s. Then Matt clumsily and anxiously tries to correct his mistake, and they somehow start talking about the pro-choice perspective and how she must be pro-life. The conversation is a disaster after that, but after the toast, it's all better. When the waitress comes, Anna orders potatoes and Matt's low grumble and grimaces put forward another source of disagreement. Matt tries to argue that whatever she eats the baby eats, but Anna still wins the argument. So, yes, their attempt to connect proves to be futile for now. This huge gap between them is even more visible when they go to couples therapy. Matt states that he can't wait to tell everybody about this pregnancy, while Anna is planning to remain private. And while Madeline, the therapist, tries to mend their seemingly non-existent connection, Matt underlines that they are both pro-choice, so she can act as she prefers. But this annoys her more and even the therapist is powerless. When they come outside, Matt tells her about his previous experience with couples therapy, how he and her girlfriend would hold hands afterward and eat candy, only to return home and sleep in separate beds. Somehow, this moment seems to be the first real moment when they truly understand each other. Matt is finally opening up and now it's her turn to do so too. Back at her work, Anna's coworker points out that she's eating too much. He states that he possibly cannot be judgmental by saying this, since he's dating two people named Sam, he's just concerned. But pregnancy starts to change her actions a little bit, so she throws her croissant in the trash as suddenly, Matt enters the coffee shop. It's an unexpected visit. He brings her special pregnancy tea and when she reminds him to avoid saying that word around people, he takes out another present. It's clogged, but Anna won't need this. Meanwhile, her coworker stops throwing other croissants in the trash and comes up to them, observing the shoes with bitter disgust. To Matt's disappointment, in front of this boy she acts as if he's a stranger, so eventually, he leaves the coffee shop with the ugly clogs still lying in his hands. He walks the sunny streets alone in the next scene and stops near the door of her house. He tries to get inside, when Anna comes out, startled to see him. Matt tries to nervously justify being here with clogs still in his hands, but she refuses to take them anyways. They have a doctor's appointment, so they better get going. But suddenly, another man comes out after Anna and looks at Matt unpleasantly. They introduce themselves and Matt understands just how much she doesn't know about Anna. The guy hilariously thinks that Matt is Anna's father, and when he gets to know that he's not, he just leaves. And so, another disagreement blossoms between them. This time it's about her intimate life, and it continues until the technician enters the room in the next scene. The technician asks her to scoot down 100 times before she reaches the perfect position, and takes an internal ultrasound. Matt turns around uncomfortably. As the procedure starts, their previous disagreement continues. Anna is winning it, so Matt, desperate for assistance, turns to the doctor, who abruptly refuses to join in since she's just a technician. However, off the record, she takes Anna's side. Eventually, after Matt declines to back down as a true warrior, the technician says that there's a heartbeat, knowing that this little detail would kill all the pointless disputes. And it does. They discuss it with the couple's therapist later that day. Matt is so excited to hear that sound all the time that he's willing to create an app for that, while Anna points out that it was nice to see Matt so happy. But talking about good things doesn't go on for long, and soon they start discussing the issue. Madeline decides to resolve it by reading out their contract, and even though nothing is directly said about intimate life there, Matt is still not convinced. And so, this is how the first trimester ends, with their relationship being so formal and shallow, full of unpleasant arguments. However, in the next scene, the first sign of the ending formal relationship starts showing, as Anna voluntarily tells him about her plans after all of this is over. She wants to use the money for education. In the following scene, Anna visits Matt and gets to know her a little bit more. She sees the app that he made for people as lonely as him. It's a dating app called Loner. Compared to others, it doesn't allow you to talk to other people. The only thing that you can do is add someone to your favorites list. It's an unusual app, but in a way, it's obvious that someone like Matt, who struggles with communication drastically, would make an application like this. Next, he shows Anna the future nursery room. There are countless papers of different colors on one of the walls. Matt talks about them as if he has 10-page-long essays written on each and one of them to determine who gets to conquer the walls. However, Anna makes him forget about the scientific explanations of how color affects a developing mind, and as the day goes on, they eliminate colors one by one, based merely on their appearance. They seem to work well together, wordlessly taking down colors as it gets darker and darker outside. Finally, only one color remains, and Matt opens up the book to see what they chose. It's a dusty blue-green, impractical, and idealist, and as he looks up at her, she throws the book on the floor silently, pointing out that it's pointless, and they both smile. By some invisible energy floating in the air between them, they are getting closer and closer to each other. In the following scene, both Matt and Anna have an opportunity to talk and get other people's perspectives about this process of surrogacy. Anna listens as Tamara, a fellow surrogate mother, talks about all the struggles and the support she's getting from her friends and family. Once it is Anna's turn, we get her perspective of things. She longs for space, and all of the attempts to control her life make her feel uneasy and uncomfortable. However, on a positive note, their last meeting proved to be much more gratifying and bearable. They talk about their experiences over the phone later that day. Seems like they both felt lonely there, like cast-outs. Then, Matt invites her over. As a true millennial, he puts up Friends, and this show about close relationships brings up the topic that they both have been avoiding. Why are they so alone? This plucks extremely delicate strings for both of them. Matt has a simple, yet complex answer. He is just alone. Whenever he tries to connect with his single or settled friends, he ends up feeling left out, not satisfied. He is stuck in this moment of loneliness in life that should be over, but it keeps on going, and now he wants to move forward. And it's happening. He's about to enter this new chapter of his life alone. And it's fine, even though there was someone in the past whom he viewed as the future mother of his child. Anna, on the other hand, opens herself up widely, saying that once she got pregnant in high school and gave away her baby, her family practically disowned her. Disgust and bitterness were all she received, and so, this made her close down. Even now, when she's 26, she finds it hard to lose guard and commit herself to someone. And so, without even realizing it, they both lose guard and open up, and now, strings will start attaching and the bonds will be created. In the following scene, Anna convinces him to have a baby shower, and hilariously, they begin to choose a temporary name for the baby so that they stop calling it. After trying out a few, such as Leaf, Soda, and Radio, Anna comes up with Lamp, and they both love it. Later that day, they are choosing some clothing for the baby shower, when suddenly, a girl named Carly shouts out to Anna. They are old friends, and as they begin their small talk, Matt slowly and awkwardly moves away. Maybe Matt wants her to introduce him, to quit hiding it, but Anna begins to lie that she's not having a baby, but Carly points out her maternity clothes, and now, she's hopeless. Abruptly, Anna says that she works here, and Matt decides to join in, playing the role of customer. So they play out a little performance, and once the girl leaves, Anna tells him that it was her sister's friend. She expresses her concern that Carly will tell her sister, Allie, that she's not with her ex-boyfriend anymore. Anna's also troubled that they lied clumsily, and now her family will find out about her pregnancy. Their opinion that Anna is only good at getting pregnant might turn out to be right, and this worries her a lot. However, Matt changes her perspective. She helped create two families by giving the biggest gifts one can ever give. In the following scene, we see Anna's coworker using Matt's app. He likes the idea of it a lot and is struck by the fact that the father of Anna's baby is the creator of his second favorite app. And as they talk, Matt enters the coffee shop. For a moment Anna leaves and the two are left alone, staring at each other wordlessly, until the boy urges him not to name his child Jesse. And as they hilariously discuss the reasons for it, Anna returns and they leave. In the doctor's office, she tries to convince him that not knowing his baby's gender won't affect his connection with him. Boundaries are really hard to set for her since she's sharing her body with the baby that's not hers, and with that Matt abruptly offers to move in with him. Of course, the answer is no, and finally the technician, tired from all their quarrels, asks Matt if he's ready. With her usual sour expression, she begins to say it, but Matt finally decides to believe Anna in this matter. Back in her house, she receives a voicemail from her mother. With a cold and indifferent voice, she tells what she got to know about her in the past few days. And this unnaturally disdainful voice of her mother makes her feel as lonely as ever. So she goes to Matt, saying that she would like to occasionally stay over. It's evident how much their relationship has changed. They talk about ordinary things, without even thinking about the subject until it's time to sleep. Matt sleeps in the nursery when she comes out of his room to wake him up. The baby is moving and she didn't want him to miss it. Matt knows that she could have stayed in her bed and forgotten about it, but Anna chose to come, and that night Matt realizes that she cares for him. They work as a group in the next scene, when they are trying to buy a cradle for the baby. The consultant assumes that they are together, and without realizing it, Anna cringes and makes it clear that they are not together. Matt should be able to move on as if nothing out of the ordinary happened. However, Anna said you when she heard the assumption. And for this, he's silent for the rest of the day, until she notices that he grew distant from her. She calls him out, trying to get to the bottom of this, until finally, his wordlessness breaks and he tells her the reason. Anna tries to protect herself, saying that she only said it because of the enormous age difference between them, but this doesn't cure Matt's overthinking. They discuss this issue, clashing ideas and finally coming to the conclusion that despite their differences, they connect and their bond is real and evident. That day Anna unexpectedly teaches him how to be a good dad for a daughter, teaching him the basics of womanly matters. They have dinner afterward and all the communication between them makes it clear that their previous conclusion was right. In the following scene, Anna's co-worker shows her his new tattoo. It's yet another partner's name. Anna protests his strange habit, and somehow the conversation shifts to another direction. To prove her wrong, he takes an example of her relationship with Matt. It's finite, even though it's not a standard romantic relationship. It's a bond that will end one day. Anna realizes that she never thought of the ending, the moment when this connection will fade away. And until she's able to understand how this thought makes her feel, someone knocking on the door. In the following scene, it's Matt's turn to notice her sadness. And when she announces that it's just hormones, Matt's mother and stepfather ring the doorbell. He thanks her and apologizes in advance. We can't know what he is apologizing for until we understand what kind of woman Matt's mother, Adele, is. She won't stop talking, and wherever she goes, the chaos flows with her. Adele arrogantly approaches Anna and talks only to her belly as if Anna didn't even exist. Later that day, Matt's whole family is gathered for the baby shower. Anna, unfortunately, is treated as a surrogate without a name or personality. She's a mere vessel for Matt's future baby in his family's eyes. She feels as if she's invisible and the only relevant part of her is her belly. So, while Matt opens up the present in front of everybody, she seeks solitude in the bathroom, trying to remain conscious of the reason why she's doing this. Later that evening, after everything is over, she plans to leave too, and the conversation that was interrupted before continues. Matt notices that she's sad, and after several attempts, she tells him they need to have stronger and bigger boundaries. This results in a heated conversation that leaves Matt confused and sad. He doesn't yet realize the true reason she's taking that step. She's afraid of creating a bond that is predestined to break. So they agree to take a step back and spend less time together. And this is how the second trimester ends. The next days are particularly lonely for both, as they try to focus on their future and prepare for it. In the following scene, even their technician notices the change. They are not fighting over random things anymore. They are distant, as if their relationships grew irrelevant over time. But a sharp eye will notice that they both are forcing themselves to be indifferent, to adapt to this new kind of relationship. However, later that day they start taking parenting classes at Koala House Birth Center, where a young lady with an unusually sweetened voice is presenting the basics of parenting in front of a group of future parents. As expected, Anna and Matt's relationship is alien to them, and even the mentor needs time to take that information in. They struggle to keep up with other couples, as they take part in activities that require affection and contact, and as a result, they start to feel alienated too, as if they don't belong here. However, the accepting environment and the fact that deep down their connection is as strong as anybody's helps them move forward until in the end, Matt tells her as words of encouragement that she's the best. We also see Anna's reaction and understand that he sincerely means it. That night, the excruciating pain wakes her up. Knowing what it means, Anna calls the hospital, and in the next scene she and Matt are listening to the doctor, telling them that the baby is in good condition, and that all of the signs lead to pre-labor. As the doctor adds, it doesn't necessarily mean that the labor is close. However, it's recommended that she stays off her feet. That night they stayed at the hospital. In the silent room, they are laying on the bed, facing the ceiling when Anna starts sighing as if she wanted to express something that words cannot convey. But she still tries to verbalize her thoughts, saying that she never pictured the end, the farewells, and the future friendship with Matt. But now she knows that she will have to say goodbye to him and to the baby that is still growing inside her. And so, she tells him the news: she got into a school in Vermont. Matt is delighted by this surprise. He expresses how proud he is, and everything about him screams that he truly is happy for her, and this utter sincerity brings tears to her eyes. After a little time, she lets herself say how much she loves him. This love, however, is free from the usual romanticism that this word is commonly linked to. This love is significant in its special way. Matt knows it too. Their connection has grown to be the most valuable for him, and he hopes that it's noticeable from the outside. And with that, they hold hands as if it would postpone their inevitable separation. The next morning, Matt gives her a rolling chair, and this time she receives it without an appeal. The boundaries between them vanished without a trace. Matt marks the height of her belly on the wall once more, weeping uncontrollably over the last episode of Friends. Later that day, they have their last therapy session, and the change is extremely evident. Now they interact with each other as if they were one, expressing how excited and positively nervous they are for the future. And there is no issue at hand and no quarrels to settle. In the end, the only thing they want to talk about is the TV show Friends. When the session is over, Anna remembers the first time they were standing here and offers him to hold hands, eat candy, and continue not sleeping together. So, they sit down on the bench, swapping candy and holding hands. That night, Anna has her first contraction, and Matt, still half buried in sleep, hops nervously, running to fetch some water for her. He strides forward, swirls, and strides back anxiously as Anna continues her sleep. Matt knows that soon his life is going to change drastically, that no one is truly ready for such a change, and he struggles to contain himself. He needs to let all the energy out to keep his sanity. Then as Anna wakes up from the pain, he tries his best to help her through it, and when morning comes, he can no longer keep his consciousness, so he sinks into soundless sleep. But sleep can only come when there's no pain, so they rest in between contractions until her water breaks and they rush to the hospital. There, Matt is so thrilled that he can't even remember the date, and they continue battling the pain until it's time for Lamp to come into the world. In between the screams of pain, Matt, with a red face and teary eyes, tells her how amazing she is, and Anna still manages to express her happiness. The baby isn't even hers, and the man that once was a stranger to her now welcomes the baby into the world. And now his life will be filled with light, all thanks to her. And Anna knows that this moment of unfathomable happiness and the bond they created throughout the last 9 months is anything but finite.